Migration affects individuals and families all over the world. This movement can be as small as crossing state boundaries or as big as crossing oceans to different countries, for reasons such as working or removal from their lands. Most notable is the trend of transnational migration, the process of moving and settling across international borders while at the same time maintaining or building multiple networks of connection to one's country of origin. The Philippines has seen multiple waves of migration to the United States as early as the beginning of the 1900s to fill agricultural labor jobs in the West. Most, if not all, of these jobs were occupied by Filipino men. During the 1930s, migration numbers dwindled due to the Great Depression and laws that made it more difficult for Filipinos to enter the U.S. After World War II, however, migration numbers began to increase again as Filipinos entered the U.S. as recruits for the United States Armed Forces and as war brides to U.S. servicemen. Most recently, however, there has been a shift in the type of work transnational migrants from the Philippines go into as they make the move to the United States. The United States has increased and extended its search for an emotional resource in underdeveloped countries such as the Philippines, just as they would any other resource like that of gold, silver, etc. This emotional resource being the love and care that only a mother knows how to give. Filipino women do not have a lot of options when it comes to finding jobs in the Philippines, and many of them are extremely low paid and dangerous at that. Many women enter the sex industry known as the red light district, where tourists from all over the world come to visit for cheap sexual encounters. The women enter these positions in an effort to support their families, that is, if they have not been forced into the trade by a sex trafficker. Instead, women seek jobs as caretakers in Western developed nations like that of the United States, who has expressed an increased need for domestic services. Like most difficult decisions in life, they come at a price. The choice these Filipino women make to go to the United States in search of better pay to support their families means that they will have to do without seeing their children for months or years at a time, and are thus unable to form the strong emotional relationships that are naturally built. They leave them in the hands of family members who might already have children and other duties of their own, so they do not pay as much attention to these children as their mothers would like. The father of the children has either left or is too busy to care for the children. However, not much of a case can be made in their defense when you have the oldest sibling becoming the head of the household, someone who is not prepared for the job, and possibly has more things on their plate than the father, but is still able to accomplish everything to the best of their abilities. More so, the pay is still meager, and the remittances that the Filipino women send back, more often than not, are wasted on gambling and alcohol by the father and never see the needs of the children. The children feel like they are part of broken homes and never feel truly happy, as Joshua Tia from the Philippines expresses in an interview.
Whenever I see other children, other girls with their father, going to mall or walking in the street, and they're happy together. I told myself I wish I'm also with my dad. How I wish that we're always together as a whole family, a happy family. Even though we're poor.
However, the reality is very different for children in the United States, who are part of households with domestic workers because they receive love, care, and affection from two mothers as opposed to one or none in comparison to some Filipino children. The reason there has been a growing need for domestic services in the United States is due to the fact that more women are entering the professional male workforce. This leaves a gap in the household for the traditional stay-at-home mother, which mothers from the Philippines fill in. There is a huge culture of individualism that exists within the United States. These women want to prove that they can be extremely independent and self-reliant, and that they can do everything perfectly despite having so many things on their plate. Filipino domestic workers do all the household work, but when the mother comes home, they are pushed into the shadows so that the mother can take credit for all of the hard work. If the lives and work of these domestic workers are continually kept concealed, these women will continue to be taken advantage of and their families will continue to suffer, thus maintaining a vicious cycle in the scope of globalization in which underdeveloped nations continue to give to wealthier nations but never receive anything in return.